Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 30, Epic Return. I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, my producer extraordinaire, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Good, thanks, Ed.
And making his epic return to the show, one Mr. Sean Dorsey. Sean, how's it going, my friend?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. All right. So in tonight's episode, we're going to be going over our standard stuff. We're going to go over our flight decks, but of course, the big one that we want to talk about tonight is the news about Epic's release and how it looks like it's going to function. We've got some insight, a little from the stuff that we saw from the release, the multiplayer kits, the missions. I've got so much I want to talk about in Epic. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's get into flight decks. Kris, I'll go ahead and start with you because I think you might have more to talk about than most of us. By all means, what have you been flying lately?
Well, we actually had the ships released for Wave 4 as well as the points update. So
Yay!
I finally got to pick up some new stuff. So I spent some time last week just sitting down and designing lists. So I think I've got 6 of them done so far.
I'm happy that the app update, that was the one thing that was super annoying for me because I wanted to sit down and work on lists while we're for preparation for the following show, which we'll get to here shortly. But I couldn't do it in the app. I'm like, oh, I have to just kind of I guess what was it? Yet another squad builder has kind of what the points are supposed to be.
Yeah. I went through and once the app update, and the app still got some visual errors in it, like the saved squads display the old points. You've got to go into the squad to see them. And I know it was outputting incorrectly for some people, but I've not really been worried about it. But
mine has been working correctly. I don't know what magic dice I rolled, but mine are working correctly. So,
I've got them all running anyway. So I've got 6. I think I'm missing a first order squad. I've built a Rebel, Republic, Resistance, Scum, Imperial and Separatist squad. So I've just got to do a first order one, and that'll be my my first few months of this cycle, and see how it goes from there.
But are those the infamous list you're going to be carrying in the Plano case?
Yeah, I packed my Plano case yesterday. Well, I got halfway through it. There was a bit of a disaster. All my cards fell out of my card box, and yeah, I'll get into it. It's probably better to tell the stories in chronological order. But,
of course. Yeah.
So I made my new list, and then Friday I was going to try and get one of them on the table, but I actually had loads of receiving to do and actual work to do. So I was at work until 1:30 in the morning on Friday, which led well into Saturday because I had a Legion rally point and an X-Wing tournament to run. So we had 10 people come out for Legion, and we had 11 people out for X-Wing. So odd numbers for X-Wing, so I played.
Sounds like Legion's doing pretty well, actually.
And we had a few people travel for the rally points at C1. It gets you a qualifier to the decent Legion events if you win. So we had people travel, and our locals came out, so it was good. I was planning on a minimum of 8, and we got 10, so it was pretty cool.
I know nothing about their organized play or how that works.
They've all got weird names, but it was a regional.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think. Pretty sure it was a regional. But yeah, it was good. It was interesting. Normally we get people coming in from out of town to Sharkley events and win, but we had 2 Calgary players on the top table, and people were saying, I've never lost with this list, and I've lost twice today and stuff. So the Calgary secret casual Calgary meta must be really strong. Don't know. So that was interesting.
What was the top tables, just out of curiosity?
It was obviously Imperial versus Rebel, because there were only 2 factions in there, but it was a balanced game. It was Bosk, Veers, and one of the tanks, and a lot of stormtroopers and some snipers against Luke, Sabine, and Rebel trooper spam with the med droids in there, which was really interesting to watch. Your med droids can bring back a dead figure, so med droid would get removed. Once they're down to 2 models, you got the unit leader, then the med droid has to be the second to last figure removed. So once you're down to just 2, the med droid can bring back the other med droid in a different unit, which might kill itself, and then it'll bring back the med droid that just died. So if you don't do 2 wounds and kill both of them, the unit can keep popping back into existence type thing. It was pretty interesting to watch.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was good. Not too. We can only do it twice, I think, because you've got a limited number of charges. But they managed to get a lot of pressure on those units early, so made him burn that, and it was really swingy. The game was on a knife edge, but it was good, and Patrick came out on top with the Imperialist. Bosk took out Luke in combat, but then I think Sabine shot Bosk in the face, and I think Sabine needed to do a gunslinger, like 2 attacks, and kill 2 stormtroopers in one unit, and Veers in another unit to win the game. But he didn't get it, so it was just too short. A little bit too much for the Mandalorian hero to get done.
How many models, just out of curiosity, because it doesn't sound like a ton of models in those games.
Have to finger math. About 35 models aside, probably. Maybe a little bit more for Rebels.
Yeah, so it's not that bad. Like, it's not 40k levels kind of number of models.
The Rebels had 9 activations. The Imperials had 11, I think. So 11 activations, but obviously you've got Bosk as a single model, Veers as a single model, a couple of the sniper squads, so just 2 models, that kind of thing. So not too bad. I'm probably going to pick it up again once the new box comes out with the Clone Troopers and the battle droids. We'll see.
That's right. I'm sorry, I was going to say that's right, because we're getting Clone Wars in Legion as well.
Yeah. Then because I was running Legion and running X-Wing, and X-Wing had odd numbers, so what I do, the person who has to buy, I'll give them a game, but they still score points for the buy in case I need to go and answer rules questions or do any admin. So I took 2 of the lists that I made. I had probably the most competitive of the 2 lists that I ran is a return to basically this very start of X-Wing 2.0. I went back to running Benro with Fearless, Boba Fett with Perceptive Co-Pilot and Slave 1, and L3 in the what's it called now? In the escape craft, and just 3 ship scum, a little bit of coordinate action, and then hopefully Bubba and Fenn carry all of the heavy lifting. So that was interesting. Works as advertised, really. Benro gets to punch things in the face, rolling 5 dice, and Bubba is annoying, and I still think Slave 1... I thought Slave 1 was good at 5 points, and it's still 2 points, so I'll keep taking
it. I'll keep taking it. They keep lowering it.
Yeah, so it's good. Then the other list I ran was definitely a more filthy casual list. It's super good fun. I really enjoyed this one. I might play you with this on Skype, actually, on Discord.
Vassal.
There
you go.
So it is Sydney FL with Crackshot, Duchess with Crackshot and 5th Brother, Pure Sabak with Crackshot, and then a Scarif base pilot with Death Troopers. So the Reaper,
interesting.
2 strikers, and Sunni FL. And yeah, it was good fun. Don't really have a bid. It's only a 2-point bid, so not exactly earth-shattering. But
you're probably going to get my Separatist Swarm. I'm just saying. I think that's the direction I'm leaning, just so we're on the same page.
That's fine by me. Yeah, I played that list twice, and I lost both games with it, but it was super good fun. The first game, I stressed ships out and then kept them stressed with Death Troopers. So, well, my opponent stressed his ships out and I kept them stressed with Death Troopers. And then it didn't matter because he just rolled natural hits and blew up my strikers. But it was fine, I suppose. And then the last game I played with it was another loss. It was pretty swingy, really good fun game. But I couldn't kill Ray in the Falcon. It's actually it had Ray, Ben, and one that lets if you do a blue move, you can clear all of your stress. The new crew that came out in the resistance transport, and I managed to keep him stressed with 3 stress on him with Death Troopers. So I'm just going to boost anyway because I can do that while I'm stressed. And then it just didn't matter because it's still got Finn adding in blanks and Ray turning them to hits. And then I moved off, and I got that moment of we went to take stress off one ship, and I was like, "Aha, Death Troopers killed his X-wing," and yeah, it's good fun, but it's very, very fragile. You can't really get shot with it, and I was pretty close to jousting people with it. It was played in a fun manner rather than the not playing the game, which I think you really have to do with it. But I don't know, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it.
You were also, running 2 events at the same time. I'm sure a little distracted.
Just I'm not going to make excuses. The list
of course.
2 games. It's 0-2 at the moment, so I'll play you and get my free win.
I see how it is.
And I've been waiting since 2.0 came out, and I got my hands on a conversion kit to put Duchess, Fifth Brother, and Crackshot all on the table because I really wanted soft mods on Duchess. I think she's really good, and I finally got to do it. In the first game, the first round of engagement, she died to an Initiative 5 ship but shot first. So I still got my 1 shot, and I managed to roll a focus and trigger Fifth Brother and spend Crackshot. So it was a 52-point combo that I got to pull off once. But yeah.
And then she died.
Yeah. Well, she was already dead. She did it while it was going down in a cloud of flames. But I got to do it. I got to put Hammer a Crypt through with Crackshot, so it's all fine.
So in theory, it works.
Yeah.
I've seen it work. Really it works
good.
Once.
Yeah. Fifth Brother's really good because it's not like the advanced tactical computer on the IX1 where you have to turn a hit to a crit. You may turn a focus to a crit, or you could just spend his force normally to turn it to a hit. So if you're playing against selfless rebels or something that cancels crits and stuff like that, you don't need to use it. But when you've got those people with the fuel leaks and everything, just burn them down a bit quicker, it's fine. So it was good fun. I really enjoy flying strikers anyway. I think this was my first game with a Reaper in 2.0. I think I've made like 2 lists with Reapers and then never got them on the table. But finally got it on the table, and it's good fun, super quick, really, really moves, and doesn't turn. Terrible. Having only red turns was not fun.
But it does get that little boost from the adaptive ailerons. It can still kind of like shoot out there a little bit more. You can kind of turn a bank into a turn, kind of.
Yeah, you can bank and then bank again, or you can bank and stop. I don't know. It's just weird. It was really good fun to fly though, and I really enjoyed that style of list. I've got a couple that I think are more competitive that I might try in a couple of weeks, but we'll see.
Anything else you flew other than obviously playing the tournament auto loss?
No, I've been doing. I was saying off camera. I can't remember where I've been doing a quick live stream today. So I'm really tired, basically. Really, that's why I feel like I'm babbling really, really badly, more than normal. But I only got to bed at 1:30 in the morning. I've been using my Fitbit to track my sleep for the last week. I got 3.5 hours sleep before I had to get up to go to work again. Ran these 2 tournaments, and that was a 13-hour day. So I'm pretty tired today. I had a good night's sleep last night, but then today I've been editing an article that one of the creators wrote for me, wrote for the Dice website, so thanks Nami for that. he wrote his intro into tabletop gaming, so I did a quick edit on that for him and posted that. And then I've been doing notes for a Call of Cthulhu 2-shot. I've got 2 sessions where we're not going to be playing D&D, so I said I'd run some Call of Cthulhu. So I've been making notes. I didn't want to run a out-of-box adventure, so I've been kind of write that up, and I've been making my item cards and stuff like that. So I've got like.
Is that going to affect the Roll for Initiative podcast?
But Greg's playing on it as well, so he'll be a player. He's normally one who DMs the D&D game, but I'll be the keeper of the Call of Cthulhu game. But yeah, we'll probably talk about it a little bit on that. But I do my player journal after my Tuesday game, and then we do that's initiative every 2 weeks, basically on a quasi-alternate schedule to what we record this. So I put a podcast out every week now.
Woohoo! Busy man.
Somewhat busy. And yeah, it's been interesting. I'm really enjoying the role playing actually, and this is going to be good fun. I ran a Call of Cthulhu out of the starter box for the store stream, not this Friday, the Friday before. So that was interesting, shall we say?
Call of Cthulhu is an interesting game to start off with.
Yeah, but just trying to get my flow back. I've not really game mastered something for a while, and I've ordered. I think it's over on the table, but like a big wad of newspaper print, so I can print out newspaper articles and then chop them up to be handouts.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
I've written up all my stat cards for like the items that we can find. So you've got your grandmother. It's not going to focus, is it? There you go. Your grandmother's silver amulet. Definitely not an older sign, and it's got your little description of your grandmother wore this all the time. You remember reaching for it as a child and her rocking you to sleep and telling stories about how you were naughty, all of the horrible monsters would come and get you. Unless you wear its amulet. Spoilers. So, making magic item, magic item, not D&D, but making item handouts. One thing I did pick up, which I think is really cool, is my diary for my D&D campaign.
Oh, that's awesome!
So I picked up a leather-bound diary, so that's what I take all my notes in.
That is really cool, like Indiana Jones style kind of leather-bound notebook. I think I have a couple of those floating around. All right, so this is probably way more information than anyone needs to know. I have a thing for notebooks. I don't know what it is. I like notebooks, and like my wife got me one of those good leather-bound ones like that, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I have to send you one of these ones.
Ooh, you're right. I don't own that one. It's a Dice 8 one for those in the audio format only.
I have some Dice 8 notebooks for when I'm doing work stuff. But yeah, I find it helps me stay in character as well. So I don't really. I've been working on a voice for a character, but we don't really role play. It's not Critical Role, you know what I mean? But I've got a character for my PC and the D&D game, and I think having the notebook and all of that and making notes in character helps me respond in the way I think he would. And there were times in the last game where Greg was obviously testing me as a person, not my character, just because he was doing stuff that he knew would annoy me, to see if my character would react out of character. And I was like, Kris really wants to smash this guy in the face, but Conrad just nods. So, fun times.
Fun times.
Yeah.
I need to get more role playing in my life. I really do. I had the whole thing. I had this whole thing set up for a Curse of Strahd thing that kind of fell apart. We're trying to rekindle it. Like, I really want to play Curse of Strahd. I already have characters made up. I just need to jump into the game and just get it started. So I think we might have this worked out, but I don't know. The guy, his schedule shifted, and so now he works every Sunday, and Sundays was the day that he could do it. The only other day he can do it's during the week, which would be fine, except in 4 weeks the kids go back to school, and they're playing in it, and that becomes a pain in the ass, and yeah.
Well, it's the parenting moment of, well, one night a week staying up late can be special for them.
Yeah, that goes over real well with the wife. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
All right,
well, that's me anyway. So I think I've monopolized enough time.
We never got to the story of how all your cards fell out.
Oh yeah. After I'd finished playing, I'd built these squads as we were going. They already had the actual squad lists, so I was doing that, and then I'd set my a little like folding table where I had my laptop upstairs, so I didn't have to keep running downstairs. I'd email the store the round match slips and stuff, and they'd print them out and cut them out and run them upstairs for me. So I had everything organised. I was like, okay, I'll start sorting the cards, putting the ones from the new ships into the. I've got an 800 count card box, but I keep all my cards divided into factions and then upgrade type. So it should be easy to like pull out the cards you want. But then I just rested it for just a minute on top of my Plano case, which was open with like ships sticking out of it. And then I was just watching it rocking, and I was like, I went to reach for it, and I was like caught the lid instead of grabbing the box, and I just knocked it over, and like 800 cards plus went all over the floor. But I was halfway through sorting, and like, well, like, half the players stopped playing Legion to come and help. I'm like, look, don't carry on. Play again. You're on a timer. It's fine.
I'll sort it out later.
Then I stopped sorting cards at that point. I just put them all back in the box in any order, and then left it, and then tied it up, and that's how it remains to this day. Which is only 1 day later.
You don't do like I do I have two separate binders that I put everything in. I have pilot cards in one binder and I have upgrade cards in another binder so that I can flip through and page through them. And then I stack them, so if it's the same upgrade, like I have 12 of the same.
I used to do a binder, and I still have the binder of my 1.0 cards, but I went to this box because I make the Plano case, and I've got a deck box where I keep the cards for each the list I've made in the deck box. So because I do that, and I've got 6 or 7 squads on the go, depending on what squad I'm running, how much I can fit in the Plano case. So I don't do too much of like flicking through binders anymore. I'll make the squad on the squad builder, and then just sort the cards and make sure it's ready to go, and I just do it that way. So
I think the squad builder helps with that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sean, since you perked up, I'll shoot it over in your direction. I know you've not had a lot of time to do much, but did you get any gaming in the last couple of weeks, or we haven't heard from you in quite some time?
No, I've been pretty much laid up since the last time I was on. I have surgery scheduled for the middle of August. Hopefully, it may get pushed out, but we'll see. So I'll be back in the gaming shape. I would like to try to get some Vassal in, but I need to, really sit down and figure the game out again, other than the little bits and pieces that I've done here and there. But a lot of that is, when you have a major back injury, it kind of takes you out of the normal, day to day, and everything is kind of, as you guys have found out, or is kind of, it's minute by minute sometimes. So, nope, I haven't got any gaming in. Got some Outer Rim in with my son. That was pretty good. Really enjoyed that. Definitely going to use the dice for X-Wing. I know that.
I was going to ask you, are they still rolling as well as they were before?
Yeah, they are. And, of course, though, when I play X-Wing with them, they won't, it'll go back. The dimples will cause a problem, with the dice. So, but, if you want to, cross the stuff, yeah. I've been at least rolling X-Wing dice, the attack dice. So, but I really look forward to getting back into it. It's just really hard for me to play. I read a lot of the articles, and I'm really actually excited about our topic tonight. I think it's going to make the game a little more intriguing at that level, but I'll wait for, all of that till later. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, we got a lot to talk about on that one. All right. Well, I have equally as little to talk about as Sean did. I did have a date scheduled. Date. That's not probably the right term. I had a time schedule that I was going to go and play Chad. I was on call for my job and quite literally got a phone call on the drive home that took me almost 3 hours to reconcile. So that was the day I was supposed to get X-Wing in that night. I did not get X-Wing in that night. The following Tuesday, which is this past Tuesday, I had an appointment that I had to go to, so I couldn't go that night. So I tried to game. I really wanted to, but my 2 nights were taken away from me. However, Kris and I are already in the conversation of, obviously we have an episode coming out next week where we're going to talk about some of the new ships and some lists that are coming out of that. I think we're going to try to squeeze a Vassal game in there for an in focus. So if you want to see me play X-Wing badly, you can watch Kris beat the crap out of me on Vassal, and then I'll have some gaming to talk about. And then of course I think I am still going to try to get to see Chad on Tuesday. So I think I might even have 2 games to talk about in the next episode. So that's it. That's all I've got. Main topic. Our main topic tonight, unless anyone else says something else before I move on.
No, I think we're
all right,
good.
cool. We're good. Main topic for tonight, of course, is something I have been waiting for a long time as I pull in the article that I'm looking at. FFG has finally officially announced what is going to happen with Epic, at least in some level of detail, as we've got two separate expansion kits for the huge ship conversion kits and then the epic battles themselves.
Yeah, it's one of the things I was going to touch on. Obviously, we've got epic battles as a multiplayer expansion for X-Wing, so that's what gives you all of the new tools and stuff. Then separately to that, they have the huge ship conversion kits, and obviously the C-Rock and CR90 release.
Which is interesting because the huge kit conversion kit is only dealing with these 2 ships. It actually doesn't deal with, that I can see, it doesn't really deal, and it might deal with like 1 or 2 cards, but basically I went through card to card, side by side, and it looks like the huge ship conversion is these 2 ships, mostly, if not all.
I don't know about that, because we're getting some of like the first
one. Also in there and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the cards comparison, it gives you, you're getting every card, so you don't need to go out and buy one of these ships if you already have it. Yeah. You do side-by-side comparison. So the majority of the cards, either they have most cards double up between all the ships, or you're looking at, very little variety between the different types of ships, other than the crew. It looks like.
Right, so it gives you, the conversion kit does give you stuff to use ships in different factions.
Yeah, that's something we should talk about too, because I was curious. There's one of my big questions was with 7 factions. Obviously, currently in existence right now, there are 5 huge ships. There are 2 that were originally done for the Rebel Alliance. That was the CR90 and the GR75. Then you had the Raider and the Kazanthi for the Imperial, and then the Sea-Rock for Scum. But of course, we've had a couple of factions added on. So it looks to me like the CR90 can go for both the Rebel Alliance, they can go for the Galactic Republic. It looks like those 2 ships are the same. It looks like the First Order can use the Raider as well as the Imperials. The Sea-Rock is going to go for the what am I thinking?
Scum and Separatists.
Thank you, Separatists. I was lost for words on that one. I think they basically cover so that every individual
gets GR75 as well.
Yeah. they get the one worst ship in Epic that it was during the course of its history.
The worst. It might not be anymore.
I hope not, because it was the first ship that they released. And if you weren't around back in those days, it was the first ship that they released with the Epic rules, and it had no guns. It was specifically designed to be a support ship, and most people just use it as a bowling ball, where they would just drive into ships and run them over, because that's all it was really kind of good for. It's a cool ship. I've got mine sitting right there. I like it. It's awesome. But so my hope is, of course, is that they make support ships a little bit more effective. Just give the damn thing a hard point. For one, give me one hard point that I can actually attach a weapon to. I'll be okay with that.
See, the question I do have, though, is because they label the Sea-Rock as scum and villainy. So I'm thinking that when we get the Separatist stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if they have a new Separatist ship and a new First Order ship and all of that.
I think in the future, if you look at the contents of the Sea Rock Cruiser, though, it comes with one Separatist privateer or one Syndicate smuggler. So to me, it looks like it's coming with both factions.
I agree with that, and that's probably just a whole port until they get the other ships out. I mean, it doesn't hurt them to put stuff out, brand new ships out that would cover the other factions because people will buy them and use it. Heck, people will buy them and display them in their podcasts. So,
you mean like
that's
over my left shoulder right now?
Yeah. But that's the interesting thing about it to me is how coming out with this, it looks like they've refined it a lot too, which we'll talk about when we get to the other stuff. But I do like the fact that the ships that you have. Number one, the thing I really enjoy is the fact that I don't have to go out and buy another one. So
yes.
what you're getting in the conversion kit is everything that you would get in the actual box that the ship comes in. So if you own a Sea Rock or a Tanev, the huge ship covers everything. The huge ship conversion kit covers everything in those boxes.
Yeah.
Which is really nice because I don't want to go out and buy more epic ships. I just, that I already have. I don't.
They've been really good about it, though. When they said that the conversion kits, if you bought one, you wouldn't need to go out and buy the model. And they've stuck to that with the Resistance and First Order. They kept to it, and now with the epic ones, they're keeping to it as well. So I'm pretty happy and surprised.
Yeah, for sure. The beauty of it is because I don't own the Imperial ship. I just don't own it. Never did. I would like to, just to have the complete collection. But
the Raider, you mean?
Yeah, the Raider. Yeah, the first one they came out with.
I won mine at at Nova Open. Although technically I won a Tantive 4, and the guy that won the Raider didn't want it. He wanted the one that I got, so we just literally swapped. So technically I won.
He wanted 3PO and you wanted Palpatine.
Yeah, I think you made out better in that deal.
I think I may have as well.
But yeah, that's the thing I'm enjoying about this and reading about this is I'm just going to get a conversion kit and then I'm ready to play because I have everything but the Raider.
I think what you're going to need, though, I think you need the conversion kit to switch over all your ships over to second edition. You're also going to need the Epic Battles box because that has the rules, it has the templates, and has some of the stuff for like the squadron maneuvers and stuff like that. So I think you're on the hook for both.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to get the special stuff, which is cool. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that because, it'll make Epic seem like a system to play that wasn't just a bunch of battering rams that you flew out. I watched Epic matches, which drove me nuts when people were playing Epic that never had an Epic ship on the table.
Yeah, that was always so. Again, I always equate my Epic experience to the Outrider Cup, which is the event that Ryan Fleming and the West Virginia Gaming Group all kind of came together. It's grown into this gigantic event now. It encompasses like 9 different gaming groups. But Epic was a prerequisite. You had to play 1 game of Epic and then 2 games of Standard X-Wing after that. So it gave us a reason to get our big ships on the game. And they encountered the same problem where the first year that we did it, nobody brought Epic ships, or you saw 1. It was just basically X-Wing times 3, where it's just huge squads, huge fleets of squads. And then they started adapting the rules so that everyone had to bring an Epic ship because that's the whole point of we want to fly our big toys.
Right. And that's a good way to, if you're going to do it that way where, to me, if you're going to do it, make it so that you have to have Epic ships, and you have to have more than the transport.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not a good ship. It is not. So we did get to see a couple of pieces. So what we can glean from some of the stuff that we saw, I don't really know what direction we want to kind of go, that there's so much to cover. But I am looking, of course, at the specific article that for bigger battles is the title of the title of the article. So we get an opportunity to kind of look at the pilot ship cards for the Outer Rim Garrison and the Alderaan Gunner. So they have two initiatives. Is the first thing that jumps out to me at the top of the head, where we've got the CR90 coming in at initiative 8 and 0, and the Gazanthe at 7 at 1. Now, if my impressions of what this is, it's similar to the rules that they did for first edition, where they moved last but shot first, or is the other way around?
I think they do that because, like, I think I can't, without like zooming in properly, it looks like it's more of a targeting icon underneath the initiative 0. So I think we get like the Alderaanian Guard. It looks like it moves at initiative 8 and shoots at initiative 0, and then the Outer Rim Garrison does the 7 and 1. It looks like.
Yeah, so there were rules in Epic that just specifically said that they move, but then you'd always had the weird things. Well, what if mine's the same initiative as yours, kind of thing. So I think that kind of squares that away. Basically, they move last, they shoot first, kind of thing. I think that's an easy way to clear that up directly on the card. One of the other notes, of course, is in the old dials that you used to have for Epic ships, there used to be energy token icons on the dial. So if you moved 1 straight or 2 straight, you were building up energy. Energy was used for things like firing guns or special abilities. They're not on the dials anymore. They just have straight
on dials, just not the maneuver dials.
Yeah, it has its own.
I was getting to that. They're not on the maneuver dial anymore. They do have, and this is very reminiscent. I'm curious to see how this goes, because obviously they haven't given us any explanation on this, on how the shields and energy work on these, because they basically have these 4 spinning dials that have the picture that we're seeing on the screen has 19 shields, or is that 149 aft? Like, there are some folks that I saw that were theorizing, oh, well, that just means that the CR90 has 19 shields. And I'm like, well, okay, but is that in the front or rear? Like, I thought it was split down the middle, but then you look at the energy icons and it's like, well, it's 1 and 9. Well, they used to do the same thing for 4 and F energy too. So I genuinely think that means 4 and aft. I think that the left side is the 4.
Well, what I'm hoping is that it's just totality. You know, I know you have a 4 and aft in the old game, but I'm really hoping the ship is just a ship, and then you have this many shields, and you have this many, this much energy. That's my hope.
I hope you're right. I would be all for you being correct on that, because that was one of the downsides, in my opinion, of Epic in the old days, is they didn't have a ton of shields, and because they're the biggest targets on the board, they burn down quick.
Right, and if you're going to make it epic, you might as well make it that, so that it's, that ship is an epic ship. It's, one of the things I think that they did well with Armada was designed where it had, each side had its own shields, it had its own guns, it had its own, all of that. But in Epic, you never needed that. You needed the ability to be able to produce either out of the front or back at your choice, rather than having to worry about, energy and then shields. And I would just rather see it where it's, just makes life easier for everybody.
To make it one big pool.
Right. If you have 10 shields on a CR90, great. If you have 20 shields or whatever, then everybody knows what you have to do to burn them down. Also starting energy and then building energy. If they did it kind of like force points in X-Wing, instead of doing it where it's, you have to do something to get something, because once again, that complicates it and makes it, just kind of keeps people that don't want complication in a game, it adds too much to it. So for me, I really hope that the ship starts with X energy, and then you can build energy with your upgrades or by doing certain things. Or you could even have a card that says if you do a straight maneuver, you gain X amount of energy. If you do a one straight, you gain more energy than if you did a 4.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what Sean's referring to, back in the original rules for Epic ships started at 0 energy and needed to build up their energy to use it, which basically meant the first 3 turns of any Epic game involved capital ships going 1, one as they were building up their energy so that they could fire their guns and missiles and stuff. So they did alter the rules later on down the line so that all ships started off at max energy and then you can build up from there. But yeah, those first couple of years of Epic was a little harsh on the capital ships.
Yeah, and they just didn't do much. That was the other thing too, is to me, they didn't do enough in the game. The CR-90, when you look at that ship in the lore, it has what, 4 or 8 side cannons or 4 side cannons, a top and bottom, large turret. That ship should have been able to do a lot more than really what you had in Epic play. The Gazani, to me, seemed more like it was just a transport ship. It had some good too. It was a cool looking ship, if you ask me. But there just needed to be more. To me, Epic got real boring to play, and that's why I stopped playing it. I gave up on trying to have fun with it because it wasn't fun to play. It just got too overburdened. It was too burden. I can't even talk tonight, but it was too big of a burden to play the game early on, to the point where I think a lot of people just didn't play it after that. They just gave it up and said, we're done with it. So I'm hoping with this, they streamline it, they make it, much more fun, they make it so that people want to put stuff on the table, and a way to do it is shields, have a total number of shields before you get the hole, and, energy where you can manipulate energy, but start with a certain amount of energy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think for me, the capital ships, anything of the Epic ships, always felt underwhelming to me. Like these are supposed to be like some of the largest ships to scale that you can play in X-Wing, and they just didn't have that oomph. Now, I'm trying to remember. I was trying to eyeball it while I was here, and I can't quite see it from where I'm sitting. But I don't think that the CR-90 had starboard and port arcs previously.
It didn't.
So my hope is that indicates that not only does it have starboard and port arcs, but it also has the turret on the front. And that thing used to be able to fire out at range 5. So that would be super cool to be able to pull a turret, like a genuine turret that can fire off at 5. That would still be kind of cool.
Well, if you look at the spread for the CR-90, it's got the range 5 ruler, and it's got a bow tie, a huge ship bow tie, and 2 huge ship turrets. So it can probably take multiple forms of the turret.
Right.
That would be awesome. Here, have 7 shots from this thing. Yeah, that would be amazing.
One of the things that was, so my son, years ago when we were first playing it, one thing he didn't like about it was that 3-foot mat just didn't do you anything. You almost needed to make it either 4 foot or 6 foot so that ship had some maneuverability and some range, or or you play edge to edge on the 6 foot 6x3 mat instead of playing side to side. Go the length of it, or because it just got to be too tedious flying that, especially when there was a lot of ships on the board. And my son hated that portion of it, was when that ship would come in, and move, it just got to be too much. And he liked the Armada, the way the Armada worked, where once it engaged, you moved everything out of the way and then re-engaged it. But Armada has more of a free flow to it.
Well, yeah, Armada has a rule that you don't, if you squash your fighters in Epic, in X-Wing, they're dead. In Armada, they just kind of stick to the ship and just kind of follow it around. Because apparently the Armada pilots know to get the hell out of the way of a capital ship, and X-Wing pilots don't.
And the other thing is you look at the scale of an X-Wing compared to a CR-90 or these ships, and they're pretty small in comparison, overall. I mean, yeah, they're big enough, but they're not very big ships when it comes to these types of ships either.
So the only other thing that we got, I mean, they have some beautiful, beautiful shots of like all the ships kind of in action, but we get to see the Raider. Obviously, it was not in the spread, so we don't get to see too much of it, but you do get to see the base of the Raider, and it looks like it has not 1 but 2 forward arcs on it.
Just one giant forward arc. I'm hoping for just one giant arc.
One giant
that would be
forward
nice.
arc.
That would be nice.
Well, you see some of the lighter green lines, so they kind of like I said, it intimates to me that maybe there are two forward arcs in it. You could be right. You very well could be right, but maybe that's just the port and aft arcs. I could see one giant arc though, but it looks like it has a bullseye arc too.
Yeah, I think everything's got a bullseye out now. There's stuff references being in other people's bullseye, so we'd have to put the bullseyes on the large ships to make it work.
That's so cool. So obviously, all right, so that kind of gets all of those. Let's get to the big one though. For the big for me is one of the things being an Imperial player. I used to love flying 20 TIE fighters until they limited the numbers you're allowed to have. There's a new maneuver template that's coming out with it. This one, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I love the idea of how fast this is going to make maneuvering squads, because before you have to be able to move, you have to dial in a maneuver for every single ship that was on the board. Super annoying. What they've done is they've added these squad maneuver templates, and I think that goes along with some of the squadron rules that we saw, which we kind of intimated. We thought that this might go in a similar direction like this, but basically,
called wings. But yeah,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're called wings, but basically, you move the lead ship, you put the template down, and then all the other ships just kind of fall in formation right with it. It's a little wonky. Because, like, so if you're the forward pilot and the left rear pilot seems to do this really bizarre maneuver and
yeah,
gets
they don't follow. Only the wing leader follows the maneuver template. Everybody else is placed where they were before in formation with you still. So they don't follow any given strict template movement. So it'll be interesting getting used to flying them for like collisions and stuff like that. But I really, really like it. One of the things that put me off playing Epic was the pure amount of time, and anything that speeds that up is making it more achievable and approachable as a game. So I'm all for it.
And Kris, you can equate to this. So, like, moving that many ships in Epic was like moving an orc horde, where someone would move the lead model, and then they would just dump all the other models that came in behind it. That was what it was like playing it under the old ones. Is like, okay, they all dialed in the same maneuver. I'm going to move the first one and just kind of get everyone where they're supposed to. But you're right; it did have issues whenever it came to collisions. If they hit in, especially if they're hitting into the Epic ships, because then they would be destroyed. But I like the other part to that I really, really like is they are adding rules for being a wing leader. And if you're a wing leader, it needs to consist of, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of these types of ships, and then you get this benefit for doing it. That is super cool. I did not see a rogue squadron, which is going to be super disappointed if they miss the mark on that one. But it would be kind of cool to have like a Wedge or a Luke be a rogue squadron and then get bonuses from that. We don't know that yet.
Well, from what I could see, like it looks like the First Order and the Imperial ones are both the same. So we've got the text for basically Agent of the Empire, which was TIE Advanced or TIE X1 or TIE V1 only. But it lets basically Darth Vader lead Black Squadron or whatever, and all it does is soak up some hits from the wing leader. So it gives you a reason to take these named pilots and not just get exported to every shot.
So did you see any other rules? Because I started looking at that. I'm like, wait, doesn't that say the same rules as it did before? Like, is that like the low level generic one?
Yeah, so basically, if you take this upgrade, it lets you add to the wing between 2, 3, 4, or 5 TIE fighters.
Yeah, so the wing limit would be 6, right?
Yeah, so you'd have Vader and 5 TIE fighters, which would let you use the 6 ship wing template. And then whenever you shoot at Vader, it lets you take up to 2 of your squad mates. Let me find the card again. Agent of the Empire.
It says up to 2 of your wingmates in the attack arc may suffer 1 hit or crit damage to cancel a matching result.
So it basically gives you 2 ablative wounds at a time, as long as they're in the attack arc, and you can, until all the other ships are dead. So Vader gets to be Vader for a lot longer on the epic table, and that's what you want. You want Vader flying around, blowing up Tantifs, which you can only do if you can't shoot like 15 shots at him and just go get dead.
So it's like a universal Biggs rule.
Yeah. The wing soaks up some of the damage, and the first order one looks to be the same. It's not. I've not zoomed in on it, but it's got the same. When you defend, up to 2 of your wingmates in the attack arc may suffer 1 hit or crit. You cancel a matching result, and then you've got your wingmates must be 2 or 3 TIE FOs or TIE SFs. So you can fly 4 TIE SFs in a wing with this. So you can have quick draw and 2. So you can take 1 off a shield, fire quick draw, and then the others all hit somebody else. And then you can do the same again, and again, and again. So
I love it. So I'm super excited to see how that's going to function and how that's going to work on the table. But they did something.
Oh, go ahead. Else, before we do anything else, the other thing is pricing on these is actually pretty good. It's only $30 to upgrade the huge ship.
Yeah. The thing that was relatively interesting, I was going to bring up at the end. Well, I suppose we can call it towards the end now. But the conversion kit only comes with 1. Where is it? I've lost it there. Damn it. Damage deck, that's the word. Sorry,
I forgot to mention that. It only comes
with 1 damage deck. So, how do you feel about if you've got 4 ships? So if you've got a Corvette and a GR-75, and you want to run both of them, you need to buy 2 conversion kits.
Yeah.
That's kind of... Can they sell the damage deck separately? That'd be awesome. Because I obviously have 4 epic ships here. I never went out and got the Sea Rock because it just wasn't the ship I was interested in.
So I'll give you that, but then I will counter with the ship. The conversion kit costs $30 $29.95.
Yeah,
it was really cheap. If it was $50 and then they sold damage deck separately for $10, would that feel better for you?
No.
You can convert all of your ships for $50.
No, I see where you're going.
You know, because it's the same as buying 2 boxes. It's still $60, but does that feel better that you're paying for more cardboard? So, I don't know.
That's kind of where it's going to go, though. Like, literally, you're going to buy that second one for the damage deck and damage deck alone.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that damage deck for just a moment? There's one damage deck. So again, if you weren't part of First Edition, never played Epic in First Edition, each individual ship had its own damage deck, and it was split in 2. There was a fore and an aft. So it was super a pain in the ass to manage. Exactly. Like, exactly. Like, why do I have 7 different damage decks on the table? Oh, I pulled the wrong damage deck whenever I'm playing the game. That was always annoying. I'm so happy that they at least corrected that. I don't know. I mean, I see your point, Kris. I guess my problem is I don't know if it's I don't know if the word problem's the right one, because can I pull? Do I need a damage deck per ship, or is it like a damage deck for X-Wing? I don't have a damage deck for every TIE fighter I have.
It looked like it was a damage deck per ship, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's so. One of the things that I look at with this head is the concept of this is they still want you to buy ships, and every ship comes with a damage deck.
Yep.
So,
but this is a little different than a $15 or $20 ship. These are $100 epic ships.
I agree, and I'm not arguing that fact. It's just, you know, from the concept, from the point of fantasy flight. Here's my thing: how many times are you going to fly more than 2 epic ships on the board at one time?
Yeah, that's correct. You're probably right on that.
So for $60, you're getting, if you really want 2 damage decks, for $60, you're getting, you know, 2 damage decks, and you get to keep all your toys that you had before. You get everything you need, and you don't need to buy another ship. So $60 to, you know, $60. What were they? 59, and then the rest are 59, 69, and 99 for all the other ships. You know, so if you bought one of each, you know, you're looking at $400 in ships with packs. I'll pay $60 because that's what I'm paying for X-Wing conversion anyway, more or less, to be able to convert them up, for X-Wing. So I'm cool with this. I'm actually really good with this concept. If I want to put 2 epic ships on, I'll have to get 2 or borrow one from somebody else, that isn't playing, that type of thing. The other question is, how many times are you going to play epic?
Right. It's going to be unless they do what I suggested years ago, which was to take Epic seriously and have Epic in specific events, Epic specific upgrades, Epic specific an entire course, just like they do for standard X-Wing, where you can go to. And again, I'm falling back to my first edition store championship regional worlds. Like Epic always felt like a side event. Like they did an Epic event at Worlds, but you didn't have to do anything to get there. You just happened to physically be at Worlds and you want to play Epic. Great, you can join in and play Epic. It always felt like a side event.
And it was a side event. When you went to Gen Con or you went to any of the other ones, the cool thing, about those side events is you got the special cards. You still got.
I have mine.
You still got the same things that you got, if you played in the regular X-Wing tournament. I hope for now, anyway, that they don't make this tournament style of play. My reasoning for it, hear me out. My reasoning for it is that they're already having a difficult enough time, managing regular X-Wing events. And you look at, if you did this, it'd be a 32-player event, and it'd be X amount of rounds, kind of like what they do for Legion and Armada, where you have limited everything. If you're going to do it, go that route. Don't go with, large. And I don't know if that many people would play Epic to begin with in a large-scale tournament. But I kind of liked it as a side event. I know that you would, Ed.
I totally would. I totally get your perspective on it. Obviously, because of your health issues, it's a little difficult to imagine sitting down tuning for a 2.5-hour game. For me, I spent so much time playing 40K where they were 2.5-hour rounds every round. If I could play with my big ships, I'd totally be on board with it if they decided to take it the competitive route, which is what I've wanted them to do for so long. If they didn't, and it's only just for fun, I'm totally on board with that too. But
it's just, where do you slot it in? That's my big thing, is that because the way that you'd have to do it as a 2-day tournament, just like you would with any other, where you'd have 3 rounds one day, because you're looking at 6 rounds, at what were they, 2.5-hour rounds, I think, something like that.
Well, what was Legion like, Chris? I mean, you obviously just ran one. What was the Legion?
2-hour rounds.
2 rounds. Was that one day though?
You play. It was one day, but so I ran a 3-day event with a cut to top 2, and it took me. Dice were rolling by 10, and the game finished an hour before time for the final. So that was a 13-hour day as it was, and the game finished an hour. Well, it didn't go to time, so if it goes to time and then they've got to finish the round that they're on. So you're looking at maybe 90 minutes early. So it could have been a 14.5-hour day quite easily.
How many rounds?
We
had
30 minutes for lunch, and the finalists took 20 minutes before we started the final.
How many rounds per day?
That's doing 4 rounds a day.
So did you have heats? Like day 1 was heat 1, day 2?
No, it was 3 rounds, and then everyone else went home, and the final was played.
Okay.
So old-fashioned first edition X-Wing tournaments where you just push through.
Right.
Power through.
So you did that in one day. So you had 4 rounds and then a 2-player final, and you did 3 days of that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but all right. So I know this is an FFG thing. If they eliminated the concept of the cut and just played straight up Swiss tournament, they could just go 4 rounds or even 3 rounds and take the top 2.
Depends how many players, though.
No. I agree. I think we kind of need to accept the fact that, like, for example, there were only 10 players at the Legion event. I wouldn't imagine more than like your average tournament consisting of 6 or 8 players. I mean, you get to that regionals. I mean, obviously you're going to talk 20, 40, 60, something like that. Maybe they need to do it over 2 days, but you're right.
All depends on the prizes.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true.
It depends on the tiebreakers more for me, because Legion uses strength for schedule, and it's just utter bullshit as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, because if you have someone drop, it screws up the whole strength of schedule thing.
Not
It's so
even,
dumb.
We were lucky in that the person we had 10 players over 3 rounds for the cut. So in the last round, we had 3 players who were 2-0. So one of them gets a per down. Luckily, the guy won his per down, so I had 2 players who were 3-0. The guy loses his per down. I then have 4 players. So I've got 1 undefeated player and 4 players who are 2. Yeah. And then the person who gets the final, because it's a cut to top 2, is done by strength of schedule, which is completely random for round 1 in a 3-round event. So a third of your tiebreaker is made up by random factor.
MOV. Why couldn't they just do MOV like they used to?
The scoring system isn't. They could do anything they want, but I don't think the scoring system is as robust as like Armada.
No, it's win-loss, unfortunately. So I don't know how else you'd do it other than maybe points destroyed.
Which is how you do MOV. That's how you would do an MOV.
Yeah, that's how you do tiebreaker, or if the game finishes as a draw anyway, you go to points destroyed. So I don't know why the whole tournament doesn't just use that, other than it forces you to track it in missions that don't need MOV. So I don't know. It's a bugbear that I've held for a while as both a player and a TO. Every time I run something, because I always run it using software now, it always shows me a strength of schedule, and I look through. Now, the differences in it does make a huge difference. You get that easy run, and you've made a cut, and it's nothing to do with you as a player, and that's horrible to say, but this is a topic all unto itself. How results-based analysis and all of that were I made the cut, so I'm a good player and my list is good. No, you
could also be the guy though that makes it by being pared down, or wins by being pared down after round 1, and then end up not making the cut because you were pared down. Especially if you're cutting to 2, and there's I know in a 10 player I don't think it's possible, but I don't think it is in a lot of them, but you could have 3 that are 4-0 at the end of the day and not make it in because you're doing strike the schedule and you're pared down the whole day. And that's one of the things that their old software used to do a lot is once you started down the pair down track, you were always on the pair down track when it was strike the schedule driven.
Yeah. As an example, for the X-Wing event, we had a guy bring his son, who's a young kid, so that's an ed game, as we like to call them.
My first run at Worlds, I'll never live it down. I had nothing to do with the pairing on that.
We had someone who's not really played that much X-Wing and didn't really know what he's doing. But if they get paired up together round 1, one of them has to win. So that means going into round 2, you have someone who's probably going to be on the bottom tables, but in the winner's bracket. And this only gets worse as you exponentially make your tournament bigger, so it's probably better to do a generic thing. But if you've got 2 shitters who play each other round 1 because of random factor, then round 2, one of them's undefeated, so it's in the winner's bracket. So that if you get paired against that player and MLB is your tiebreaker, that's fucked you for a tournament. Twice because of random factor that's beyond your control. You can only beat what's in front of you. So yeah, you've got the argument, which I used to use to great effect against myself and others. I think it was when rolling up was happening and stuff. There's nothing to complain about. You should have just won. If you win all your games, you don't have to play about.
That's the deciding factor: is win, or you put the into the hands of the random gods at that point.
But the other point would be that Legion, for example, only goes to a cut to top 4 at 25 players.
Right.
So, and strength of schedule is your tiebreaker.
I hate strength of schedule because if someone drops out, like they lose their first round, like, all right, I can't win it, and they leave, they're totally screwing over a person who legitimately had won their games, and it's not dependent.
It depends which round they leave, though. Everything in that is dependent upon the round that they leave. First round, I don't think it affects as many players. I can't remember. I used to, once again, in a former life, I used to know every detail about this, but I think if they leave the first round, the only player it truly affects is the player that person plays and the subsequent people that he plays, because it's the strength of schedule, the opponent's strength of schedule as the secondary factor that it affects.
Yeah, the extended strength of schedule gets fucked more if someone drops, I believe.
Yeah, that's where it actually hurts. But if a player drops round 4 and it's 6 rounds, then it really kind of starts screwing things up a lot more, because that player now has 2 rounds of 0. Anybody that he has played has 2 more rounds of 0 basically, because he isn't going to gain strength of schedule for or against. It's but it is no different than the guy losing though 2 more times too.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's all factors in. Basically, it takes the chance of that guy winning later on out of the factor, and then you basically get that strength of schedule your strength of schedule goes down as if he would have lost those 2 games anyway. So it's a really weird, it's a psychological game that you play. And if you've ever played in Magic tournaments, it's even worse when you're talking about Magic tournaments, because strength of schedule is everything in Magic. And a 30-player F&M, a 10-player F&M, that effect is different. It affects you more in a 30-player than it does in a 10-player, because your cut is so broad in the 30-player compared to the 10-player, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It also depends how big your cut is. The strength of schedules also affects a player by how big the cut is. God, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I don't do that anymore. But I really think, going back to what we were talking about, though, I hope that they don't make this a competitive format, or if they make it a competitive format, that they refine the rules in the competitive play to the point where it makes sense, rather than just trying to throw shit together just to try to make a game happen.
Before we go too far down that rabbit hole, if we want to kind of get onto that thought process, if you look on the outside of the box of Epic Battles, it said something I thought was super interesting, which was multiplayer expansion for tactical space combat for 2 to 8 players. So I think now that I'm reading that, you might be right. It might be designed more casual, because as you go into some of the missions and stuff, it's clear that this is going to be designed more for a casual format than a competitive format, because they even give an idea of something I've been talking about that they should bring to X-Men for a while: missions and deployment zones and things like that. So maybe that is leaning in that direction.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of missions in X-Wing, just because I'm an old Wings of War player, and Wings of War had missions in it, which drove me absolutely crazy, because some of the missions would be blow up the dirigible, or blow up this plane or whatever. And I didn't like that. It's the only thing that took me away from having a great time at Wings of War was the mission aspect. If it was kill or be killed, which is what a dogfight to me is, that's a whole different story. Epic with large ships, yeah, you do missions with Epic. You create the mission parameters off the 3 cards. Same thing you do in Legion, because they're large scale battles. X-Wing to me was, you took X-Wing to me was always that part of a battle. It was never the whole battle, because you didn't have enough ships. It was like Luke, Wedge, and Biggs in their run in the trench run. was what that was like to me, where they had Black Squadron with the 6 TIE fighters coming at them, things like that. That's what made sense to me about X-Wing, is that it wasn't the whole battle. It was just a piece of, a dogfight battle. And when you add missions in, it just takes away from that, because I've done it, where we put missions in or parameters in for things that, kind of like a capture the flag type thing or something like that. And it just took away from the actual game itself. It's a great game when it's head to head, mano a mano, you versus me. I'm going to try to kill more of you than you of me. And that strategy, it's like chess in a lot of ways. It has a similar feel.
With guns.
Yeah, it's chess with guns, but it's all about the strategy. It's all about, utilizing ships on how you build them, which is what made 1.0 so bad when you started to take away all of that, all the strategy, and it became very linear in how you played it. This list would easily beat this list because of this, unless you're a really bad player, which is what it ended up at the end of that. Where 2.0, at least, it kind of went back. If you play 2.0 hyperspace, you're back to, back to the original, in my opinion, the early.
You mean
game.
extended, right?
Well, no. I'm talking about when I look at X-Wing, extended is more like 1.0 to me, where you still have too much stuff involved. Makes the game kind of easy mode because you can just, you can create all those connecting parts that made lists just so brutal. Or the hyperspace side, where it's like it was in the beginning of X-Wing, where you're limited. You had limited ships and strategies, and as you build on that, hopefully everything will stay so it's not getting outrageous again like it did in Wave 4 with X-Wing.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I think anything else you want to add in for Epic? I think we've kind of covered all the bases on that one. I'm obviously super excited. I can't wait to start flying some big ships and trying it out. Anything else?
I think that's everything for Epic.
Excellent. Well, we're going to try to make this one a shorter show. So we had some listener questions we posted when we were supposed to originally record this. We were, I don't want to spill the beans. Do we want to spill the beans what we were supposed to do tonight, or do you want to save that for...
Oh, sorry.
So we were supposed to have a guest on Thursday, and we had some scheduling conflict, but we did have a comment made about the best X-Wing podcast in Canada, and we were going to have Bruno over, and his is the Golden Condor. What's the
Millennium Condor?
Millennium Condor. I think I always screw that one up. From the Millennium Condor podcast, but theirs is all in French, correct?
Yeah, it does an English show, which is the X-Wing Lawmaster quiz, where he gets different podcast hosts and X-Wing personalities to come on and do some fun question and answer sessions. But yeah.
But he wanted to respond to that challenge of the best X-Wing podcast in Canada kind of thing. So unfortunately, we weren't able to tie in the schedules for this week, but we are going to try to reschedule that for the next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been on with Bruno before, and when I was doing the judge thing, I jumped on and spoke about the judge program with Kris Bryan as well on Bruno's show, so it was interesting.
So we're looking forward to that as well. So we did put questions up. Do we still have listener questions from the old Book of Faces?
Yeah, we have a couple. It was mainly rules-based stuff from Wave 4, so I'll just blast through them, and then I've got a kind of question type thing. I don't know. But it was more for when Chad was here, but he's not on, so sad times. So we've got a couple people commenting on what they've been flying, so I did ask what have people been using. And so we've had Patrick has been flying Han with Trick Shot, Kanan R2, and then Janos with Mien, and Sabine with Lando. Not great, but a 6-dice double-moneyed shot with Han is fun.
Yes, I can imagine to be a lot of fun. On the handful of times you get to fire off, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that one's easier to pull off than the one I was trying to do with Scum Han, where you've got to have them stressed as well. At least with this one, they've only got to be at range 1, obstructed, and let Jan trigger, which you can control Jan, whereas in form of mine, they had to be stressed at range 1 through an asteroid. So that was less agency for me. So yeah, I'd imagine you get to pull that 6 die off a bit more often.
And it's always a cackle whenever you're grabbing 6 attack dice and rolling those up like, and you get to modify them twice.
Yeah, we've got Peter talking about a new Republic squad he's going to try out, which is all 4 Initiative 4 Aether sprites, which I feel like is relatively difficult to make work, because if you go for all 4, you can't have synchronized, so you can't have calibrated or 7B. So 4 ship list with only 2 dice attacks sounds difficult. So
yeah,
you're
not sticking a lot of damage with that one.
Yeah, it's a better man than me. This one's for you, Ed. This is a blast from the past. I've been flying some rack aces. So Rear Admiral Shuranu, 7th Sister, Darth Vader, and 000. So it's a 104 point decimator. Then Duchess and Sunia fell.
Anything, or I assume they're not running naked on those, but that is a great list. The only thing that because the decimator is at 0 and it is a turret, it doesn't get to do half the cool things that it used to be able to do.
It's missing the boost for sure, but the good thing about this one is that he's got 7th Sister and Vader, so he can rotate and still have 2 force pips to modify attack. Obviously, Rack really enjoys being reinforced for the extra mods as well. And then 000 giving you the can I have a calculate, or would you like the stress? So that's good fun, because that synergizes with 7th Sister, where if they take the stress to stop you getting the calculate, you can move them, you can give them a tractor token or a jam token instead. So
I can see it, absolutely.
Cool.
The lack of the boost, though. I mean, that's really what Rack did best. He's like, all right.
That's what's wrong with the list, is you don't get to boost out of Rack anymore. Sad times, I know.
I love that list. That list was so much fun.
But it is 16 hit points behind the reinforce that triggers 100% of the time because you have 0 agility. So get good at being in front of people and reinforcing, and you'll be okay. Takes a surprising amount of shots to kill Rack. It's just the damage output around him that tends to suffer.
I'm drawing a blank on the gentleman who joined us for that particular show. We used to have a lot of the Nova guys on the old Nova Squadron radio one, but he had a great soundbite where this ship basically wears crits like Mr. T wears gold chains. That's pretty much what the Decimator always does. It's like, here's 7 crits that are currently active on this ship.
Yeah. Then he does suggest a Republic squad. So we have Anakin with 7B, Obi-Wan with 7B, and then Rick Olay with Duke. So Rick Olay. Yeah, I feel like Rick's a bit of a trap because he leans into the chassis ability really quite a lot. Because he wants to go fast, the chassis wants to go fast, so you just end up doing suboptimal moves to trigger all of this stuff. But I personally, and this is going to touch on what I was going to bring up for my question type thing, was I've personally been leaning towards Padme being the best of the N1s. I don't know.
So then the question becomes, is if you're running Padme for the N1s, are you running Handmaidens with her?
Oh, funny you should ask, Ed, because I do have right here a Republic list where I run Padme.
Oh, I'm listening. Bated breath.
Yeah. this was the one I made a video about earlier this week, and I've got a feeling it's probably not as good as I think it will be, but I definitely think it's got legs. So we've got Anakin Skywalker with calibrated laser targeting, because it's dropped in points so much, I'm hoping it's viable. And then we have R4, which gives him a blue hard 2s and a blue hard 1s. And predictive shot, because maybe a 9-point bid is okay compared to a 10, I don't know. Predictive shot would be the first thing I'd drop if I needed a bid, but since I'm only rolling 2 dice, it might be worth it. And Anakin's got 3 force anyway, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Predictive shot's only 1 point, though.
Exactly, because it came down. It's only 1 point. You can't afford not to take it now. It's only rolling 2 dice. So. And then we have Padme, and she has R2C4, which is the I forgot. That's the one that lets you spend the evade to turn spend an evade as a calculate, I suppose would be the wording.
Spend 1 evade token to change 1 focus result into a hit result.
Yeah. So your evade becomes a calculate on offense if needed. And she's just there again. It's all about none of my list hits particularly hard, but it just tries to screw you over. So she just sits in arc or something, and then no one can modify more than one eyeball. Then Anakin stops you rolling more dice, so it's all around those little gimmicky things.
Less dice being thrown, I can see that.
Then I wanted to make it a bit of a Republic salad. I thought, well, I've got an Aether Sprite and an N1, so we're just missing a B19 and an ARC. And luckily, you can fit a 104th Battalion ARC for 42 points. And then I was going to do a Blue Squadron V19 for 25 still, but I thought all of the named ones came down, and Tucker looked interesting. Still initiative 2, and he is, after a friendly ship at range 1 to 2 performs an attack against an enemy ship in your firing arc, you may perform a focus action. But the ship's got a white evade, and then if I can get an extra focus from someone else shooting as well. So if I can just trigger once or twice, get Tucker in there being annoying, and then get Anakin shooting at range 2 of him, he can be a focused evade, 5 hit point blocker, annoying scumbag who people don't want to shoot, but will be generally frustrating. I hope, maybe. Maybe I could be better off having a bigger bid, but we'll see.
Well, how big does the bid come out to on that?
9 points.
That's not bad.
But Anakin really wants to move last with calibrated.
Yes.
Because he wants that bullseye on things. So. But
yes, he does.
That's how I would build Padme at the moment. Or I would run Padme and a massive line of B19s and just joist people.
So no matter what configuration you're running Padme in, the handmaidens aren't coming into play for that.
No, so I feel like I want people to try and kill Padme first, because obviously if I was going to joust with her, I wouldn't put this droid on. I'd keep her at 45 points. She's still relatively cheap. And if you're shooting at her, she's going to be annoying to kill, because she's going to be focus evaded and you can't modify your offense because she's pointing at you. Especially if you keep her in the middle of a swarm. So it'll be interesting to see how many B19s you can fit around her.
Could be interesting.
You could do Padme and then 3 arcs.
Ooh.
And just beef it up.
That could be fun too. I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then we had the rules questions. So,
all right.
Fun times. So, Matt was at the tournament and he played a game and he beat my Imperial list. So, congratulations, Matt.
Good job, Matt.
Corbanel Coronel is piloting the transport and has the R4 astromech upgrade. If you reveal a hard-won turn, have you revealed a white maneuver or a red maneuver? Does Corva's ability trigger? Arguments have been made that nothing changes the ink on a dial, therefore Corva's ability triggers. But then on the flip side, R4 has no timing window. It always applies, so he wants to call a judge. The way I ruled it was that because there's no timing window, every time you're told to reference a dial, R4's ability affects that dial because there's no timing window and the card still exists. So the hard ones would not be red, they would be white when you referenced it for the ability of what colour your dial was. Stuff like layer, which reduces the difficulty of a move when you perform it, wouldn't apply, and it would return to being a red move after the fact. So that's how I judged it anyway. It probably is going to be in an FAQ from FFG, I would expect, because it probably needs it. And then in a similar line, how do LOASD and layer crew interact? So LOASD is when you reveal a red Talon roll. If you are not if you have one or fewer, or maybe two or fewer, I can't remember. But if you've got like one stress or fewer, you may treat
two
it
or fewer stress.
2 or fewer stress. You may treat it as a white maneuver. And then layer or resistance. When a ship reveals its dial, you may spend her force charge to reduce the difficulty of the maneuver. So they're asking, can I do a blue Talon roll? The answer is no, you can't do a blue Talon roll because the Talon roll, there's two ways of doing it. With LO and layer trigger at the same time. If you trigger layer first, you didn't do a red Talon roll, so LO doesn't apply. His ability would fail to trigger. Then if you trigger LO first, you treat the move as white. It doesn't become white, so it's still red. And then layer would reduce it to white from red.
Correct. I would agree with that.
Yeah. So
it's different than the wording on the R4, because on the R4 it specifically states decrease the difficulty of your speed, and that is universal throughout the entire game as long as that card's on the board.
That's one of the arguments that have been thrown around, that if you're treating it as white, why aren't you treating it as white for every purpose? And it's well, like references, you treat the maneuver as white, which is the thing you perform is the maneuver. So when you are told to reference what colour a maneuver is, you treat it as if it were white. So which means when you reveal a dial, you were away to reveal it because it's treated as being white, not red. And then when you perform it, when you get to check pilot stress, you would treat it as white so you wouldn't gain an extra stress.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The confusion is coming, and it's like, well, if they meant to reduce the difficulty, they would have said that like they do on every other card. So I'm going off the interpretation that it's worded differently because it functions differently. So that's how I've been playing it and ruling it at my events, and it'll probably be FAQ'd at some point as well, I hope.
Yeah, no, I think you've got the right ruling on this one.
Yeah. And then finally we do have one more list, which was a one for you, Ed, a Separatist Swarm.
Oh, let's hear it.
General Grievous with Crack Shot, Impervium Plating, and Soulless One. A Bombardment Drone with Proximity Mines and Delayed Fuses. Bombardment Drone with Proximity Mines and Delayed Fuses. 2 Trade Federation drones with energy shell charges, and 1 Trade Federation drone with nothing. So I guess the 6 ships.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd almost want to find a way to squeeze in the energy shells on that last one, because that last one's basically just dead meat.
Well,
it's that whole thing. Like, do you remember whenever Aaron Bonner ran the 2 Phantom lists? Is like, oh yeah, I could run a TIE fighter, but I'm just giving you points. It's the same thought process of like, yeah, I could run that, but I'm just giving you points. Why would I do that?
So Clay, one of the locals at the event, was running 4070s, and he played against
4070s, nice.
Yeah, he played it in round 1 against Will's son, who I said was there. He was running a Separatist Swarm, and in one round, 3 vultures exploded.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit crit, it was a direct. Hit crit, it was a direct. And I think just 3 hits got through on the last one or something. But up 3 vultures in one round. And that's like game over. Because you're not getting through the beef of T70 after you plus 3 vultures.
Yep. And I can see that. I can. Like I said, for me, if you're going to be running, you're going to be roaching, the energy shell tokens is kind of like stapled onto that one. Like otherwise, it's just 19 points you're throwing away.
Yeah. Well, I've got. I did a variant of my swarm as well, where I was running the 2 vultures with Discord missiles. Because Discords went down, I could upgrade those 2 ships to Techno Union bombers and still take Discord missiles. So that gives me 2 5-hit point ships with a bit more beef, and then I get Wat Tambor still, but he gains impervium plating. Exactly. Because he can have these Techno Union bombers, because he is the Techno Union foreman, and it's all theme there.
It is themey.
I can role play my ships and be like, Roger, Roger. So, good.
It is pretty good. I like that. I don't know. For me, like I said, I want to see a gigantic swarm with energy shell tokens, but that's the energy shells. But that's just me. That's my breed of separatist swarm myself.
Are you gonna go for the see if you can get to 8, or are you gonna try for 7?
I think I'm gonna try for 7 because I don't know that I can squeeze 8 in with the energy shells on top of it.
Probably not.
So I couldn't go against my own logic and saying, yeah, I'm just going to throw a 19 point ship out there just because. I think I'd rather go with a little bit more oomph behind them.
It's a shame. Let's see. You can't do that. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to get something and a tactical relay in there as well.
Right.
So you'd need a belly rub. Cheapest one. No, even that's all the points.
Belly rub. I've not heard it called that before. That's awesome.
Hyena. You take that fancy hyena that can take the tactical relay. You're over point still. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The cheapest way of getting a tactical relay is the autopilot. Yeah, and we want Kraken.
Of course.
And then I'm 9 points off. Yeah, so you can go 7 if you want an autopilot, if you want a tactical relay.
Yep. See?
But then if you're doing the initiative once, you can try the new tactical relay, the TA-175, where if stuff dies, it gets calculated.
Oh, that's interesting. I still think Kraken's the way to go, though. Like, I recognize he's 10 points, but I think he's definitely the way to go on the tactical relay.
Well, I don't know. So that's 15 points left. You have 15-point bid.
15-point bid.
I think you end up just doing something crazy. I can't really think what you'd do there. Maybe, I know what we can do. So if we take a hyena, because we want to play with a new ship.
I have to play it. Well, in order to qualify, I'd have to play at least one of the new ship.
And then you can go. There we go. That works. That's fine. And then we've got 3 points left. I'll just get the title. Sad.
So what do you got? You've got the. Do you have Watt still running? You have Watt still carrying Kraken, or you're going with the hyena carrying Kraken?
I've not got anyone carrying Kraken now.
So
this way, for 7 ships in the swarm, we've got a belly rub, the Initiative 1 with TA 175. Every time a ship dies, it has network calculations. Oh no, every time a ship dies, it has calculate on its action bar.
Mm-hmm.
Every other ship at range 0 to 3 with calculate on its action bar gains a calculate token.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got a hyena with Dark 1 probe droids and energy shell charges.
Oh, and energy shell
So
charges.
you can fling out those energy shells, target lock with everybody, because it's with it measured from range of the drone. Then when one of your ships inevitably dies because you have no calculates, everyone else gets calculates. And now you've got target lock calculating shots at people.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like gravy.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vultures with energy shells.
Yeah.
At 197. That's not bad.
That seems like it might be swarm-tastic.
That's not bad at all. I might save that one. I might have just saved that one.
You could take... No, it's probably not worth it. No, none of the other hyenas are worth it. You could go up to Captain Sear to give everybody crack shot. But no. And yeah, there's no way to get Kraken and all of that in. You'd have to drop energy shells off something, probably the hyena, if you wanted Kraken.
Yeah, probably.
But
yeah, because there's no way to get the 10 points.
What you could do then.
Although, if you drop the probe droids, if you drop the dark probe, although that kind of goes against the whole list, though.
Yeah, you want a way to give everybody target locks. And then I've got 4 points left. Does that get me the impervium plating? It does. Okay, there's 200 points. That's what we're aiming for. So, oh no, that's what I did wrong. Okay. No. You want Kraken, don't you?
I was hoping for him.
That's sad. Yeah, it's a hard one. Yeah, you're stuck with a 3-point bid and you lose energy shells off the hyena.
Yep. Unfortunately, that would be how it would work.
Yeah, I think you're better off with the other one, because then you get you get better action economy. Because if one of your vultures dies, you're getting 6 calculate tokens compared to having 3 calculate tokens from Kraken.
Yeah, that's true.
And if one of your vultures doesn't die, they didn't kill one of your vultures.
Which is a huge bonus.
Yeah, which means you're winning because they're not killing your ships.
And that ship's got energy shell charges on it that hopefully it's firing off that turn.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, okay, so you need to calculate to fire them. So yeah, you'd have to kill a ship. So if they don't kill one, you're just firing 2 dice target lock shots. But again, they didn't kill a ship. So it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Should be an interesting squad. I think I'm going to save it and see how it goes.
Yeah. I think that'll be good fun.
Yeah, it'll be tons of fun. All right, anything else on the question-wise?
No, that's about it. So, no more questions, no emails.
Cool.
I didn't check today, so I'll check now. We'll do a live check-in for our emails. And the answer's going to be no, because people don't email us. I mustn't be reading out the email address properly. People can't understand my dulcet tone. Oh, so no, I did get an email.
Look at that.
From Jason Gold. This is an old one from Jason Goldberg. Hi. By way of introduction, I'm Jason Goldberg, founder and CEO of OST, a technology company. I previously founded several well-known startups, and I'm a passionate producer, developer, and researcher. I'm reaching out to you because we are conducting some research on a new product and we are developing, and we thought you might have some interesting inputs based on your hosting the Lack of Focus podcast. It would be great if we could hop on a 15 to 20 minute call between the 9th and 12th of July for me to ask you
fast.
a couple of questions. Yeah. So,
that
Jason,
fast.
I did look up OST, a technology company, and I don't know that we have a listener base to support our own cryptocurrency. That is probably not really worth anything. So that's
Only
why
if we
I
can
didn't
call
get
them
back
Chris
to you,
Bucks.
Jason. Yeah.
If we can call them Chris Bucks, I'm all for it.
Oh, no, I mean, it's now obviously the 21st of July, so we did miss our opportunity to get on board with Jason's new cryptocurrency.
Aww, no more Chris Bucks.
Yeah.
It was a short-lived dream.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know. That was fun for me. I did enjoy reading that one.
That was
it
a
didn't
good
get
one.
back to me, so I assume it wasn't really that serious about having all of our listeners support.
The only way that email could have gotten better is if he told you about his lost cousin in Nairobi that was a prince that would get into that. I'm sure
he knows that we host Lack of Focus podcast.
Yep, I'll give it that.
That's more research than I've ever seen. It did well. But, I mean, I'm sure if it was something like Minox, who are probably the biggest podcast now, they could probably support some form of app that has tokens and cryptocurrency involved in it to show how big of a... Although not Minox anymore, sorry.
I was just going to say that. I was letting you finish your sentence before I was...
Fly better books. Could be an awesome thing. But yeah. I don't know. I don't think we have a podcast for you. We have nowhere near a listener base to support that. No one's on our Discord. No one really chat. But no one's sending questions this week. Really, we had 5. So I don't really have any.
We appreciate the ones that we got. Thank you very much.
We're all interesting lists. Whenever we do the list things, it always sparks good conversation. So.
Absolutely. All right, we have some house cleaning to do before we go out the door. So remember to read the email address, obviously.
Yeah, I'll read it properly and everything. I'll give them a right email. So we are lackoffocuspodcast@gmail.com. So you can send us emails about all of your awesome ideas for how we can all make money together there. Or just reach out and ask questions and send us feedback. We all always enjoy feedback. And then we have Patreon. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, that's amazing. We do appreciate every cent we get through there. And that is Lack of Focus Podcast on Patreon as well. You can watch the VOD of this episode on the Dice Hate YouTube channel. We are also available in podcast form through Spotify, the Apple iTunes app, on Podbean, on Google Play. Basically, anywhere you can listen to a podcast, you should be able to listen to us. If you can, reach out to the prior mentioned email, let me know, and I'll get it rectified as soon as possible. And Facebook, you can find us on Facebook. Is Lack of Focus on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Kris Sheriff. I don't tweet, so it's probably not that much point, really. I have maybe one tweet a week, but it's gold. Instagram.
Hey, I did my one a month where I tweeted at Brent Spiner because he was in the Picard trailer from San Diego Comic-Con, and I had to drop him a message like, "Hey man, I'm so happy to see you back in the data makeup."
Yeah. That was an interesting one. My friend John put a post on Facebook saying it's good to see Patrick Stewart reprising one of his best ever roles. I was like, what, are they making a Christmas Carol 2?
It sounds like they've got a bunch of the old cast coming back. It sounds like Brent Spiner. 7 of 9 was in the trailer. It sounds like Troy and Riker are going to be back in it, and obviously we know the Data. One of my favorite characters, of course, was Geordi LaForge. I'd like to see LeVar Burton in it as well, and then I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, it looks good actually. There was a few good things to come out of that. Did they not confirm Loki, and like a Falcon and the Winter Soldier show for from Disney's own streaming service now, not Netflix.
Yeah, they
Yes, they did.
We got to see the Witcher trailer as well with Superman.
Looked
in The Witcher.
really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Quite a few decent things came out. I picked up a few interesting things, so I'm looking forward to that. On one you enjoy, I listened to on Audible one of the free Aliens ones as well. So they've got the audio.
Did you get the audio books or the audio dramas?
The audio dramas.
I have all of them. They're fucking amazing.
Just listen. I've got like 10 minutes left in Out of the Shadows. And it was really interesting. So all the way through, I was like, how are they going to retcon this? Oh, we'll just wipe the memory at the end. It's fine.
That was the only thing I hated about that book. I have, all right, we're going to get into the alien stuff. I literally have all the books right here. Oh, you just spoke Out of the Shadows. There it is right there. I have the actual book in hand, but the audio dramas that they did were so good. They did such a good job. That's been my drive to work the last couple of weeks, actually. I've been listening to those.
Well, so you said it was a new one, wasn't there? Which was the script from an alternate Alien 3 or something?
Yeah, so it was the original script that they did for Alien 3, which got scrapped. There were bits and pieces of it that made it into the final version, but it was a very, very different script. I've not picked up that one. That's the only one I don't have yet, but it was really neat to say, here's a failed script for a movie that they decided to do a full audio drama on. That was really kind of cool. Yeah. So that's on my, I don't know if you do Audible or not. Every month you get a free token. Audible. Yeah, my next free token is going to be that one because I want to hear that.
Yeah, so I've been bouncing between the Star Wars audiobooks. I just listened to Dooku Jedi Lost. I just finished that one. That was an Audible only as well. Then I've also jumped back into the Horus Heresy series and I get caught up with those.
All right, so Black Library does such an amazing job on their audio version of theirs.
They are really good.
They're really good.
I would say Black Library produce the best audio books. The audio dramas are a slightly different thing, but I think the Black Library do really, really well on the audio books.
Well, their audio books are almost audio dramas, really.
Some of Garrow stuff are specifically audio dramas. Like some of them, like the one CD ones were audio dramas, but like the unabridged versions and stuff, you still get the feel and the tension and the occasional sound effect in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah.
Horus Heresy finally, after what, 800 years, we're finally going to Terra. Finally.
Not for me, not until I've caught up.
Not to your caught up. Okay. Well, yeah. I think I jumped off the train a while ago because but I will get caught up specifically once they got to Mars. I was like, okay, come on, we're gonna get into the Siege of Terra. That's what we've all been waiting for. 10 years later, it still hasn't happened.
I'm re-listening to Angels of Caliban because I've already read or listened to that one, but I can't really remember what happened. So I'm re-listening to that one, and then I'm going to push on through there, and I'm going to get this finished so that I can enjoy the Siege of Terra as well.
How many books are they up to now at this chunk? 54, 55?
I think Horus Heresy was 42.
It's 40. Okay, so I was joking when I said that number, but no, that does sound about right.
Yeah. But that's all the short stories as well, but it's good. I don't mind. And then, I've dipped my toe back into the Aliens franchise because I did used to listen to it a lot. Well, I used to read it. I had all of the Earth Hive stuff and a lot of the alternates. Yeah. I'm sure these books are coming now. Have you got all the omnibuses or the originals?
All right, so I got the omnibuses, but I do have the originals too. The omnibuses are huge, but they cover most of the entire series. So if you're watching this in the video cast, you can see me with my omnibus 1s and 2. There are 3 and 4 over there as well. But I also have the original Earth Hives, and I got all of them from I think I got up to the first 12 books before I stopped getting those, and they started putting them in the omnibus. So I'm right there with you.
And I remember I could never watch the movies because I didn't like jumpy, scary films. So I only used to watch Aliens. But I enjoyed the books actually. They were good teenage Kris reads.
So my very first, this is going to dive a little bit into Ed history. When I was probably 8 years old, I saw Alien for the first time and have been attached to the franchise since. And I found a copy of the Alan Dean Foster book in hardback. My grandmother and I used to go to flea markets and yard sales all the time. That was like my entire summer when I was a kid, was going to flea markets and yard sales. And I ended up picking up a copy of the Alan Dean Foster book. And I took that book to school, and I've read that book easily 50 times. What I didn't know at the time is the book that I bought was a first edition with the dust cover, and it was in perfect condition when I bought it. As an adult, I've tried replacing that book, and $1,200 is not worth it for me to replace that book. But it kills me to know that as a kid, I had a first edition with the dust cover Alan Dean Foster Alien novel that I destroyed because I read it so many times.
Sad times.
Sad times. It's like all those Star Wars figures. It's right up there with all those Star Wars figures that ended up in the sandbox.
I'm sure I must have told this story before, but I distinctly remember losing the missile that shot out of my Boba Fett's backpack. Which means I had a Boba Fett that shot a missile
out of the backpack.
So if I had that still sealed in packet,
oh my god!
Would be,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fun.
Only a handful of those went out too. Holy cow!
So I had that entire line. The Boba Fett. I had two of those. I had the Luke and Darth Vader and Obi-Wan with the retractable lightsaber out their arms. I had
the little sticks that went into their wrist, and they had the vinyl capes. I totally remember those.
I had the Space 1999 full ship, and then I had the two other things that they had separate. I had all of the Planet of the Apes TV series stuff. So you want to talk about lost toys? I mean,
I had the AT-AT that actually had, you put your hand in and you pushed a button and the guns went.
Fired,
yeah.
I can't believe I played with those things and destroyed those things as an adult. It's horrifying.
Yeah, but you know what though? You got more out of it because of that.
Oh my god, absolutely.
You had a wonderful childhood because of it.
Absolutely. The Jabba the Hutt one, which never fit into any of the Darth Vader or C-3PO heads. Like, what do I do with Jabba? He's so big. He just kind of sits beside the rest of them.
Yeah. It's the toys way back when were so cool. The toys today are, of course, they're all they're all the conceptual toys you have on whatever electronic device you have now. That's what you have now. It's it's pretty amazing, but yeah.
I think some of the new ones, they are so close to real life. Like they it's almost weird to me because like I remember what Han Solo, you looked at Han Solo the toy and you looked at Han Solo in the movie, it never looked quite the same. I mean, Kenner did a pretty good job trying to rush those kind of out. C-3PO looked perfect, R2-D2 looked perfect, but the faces on the people never quite matched up. But you didn't care because it's Obi-Wan. I don't know how many of those stupid capes and lightsabers that I lost, and I know I lost Darth Vader's. I think I lost Darth Vader's cape the day I got it.
Yeah.
So sometimes. I knew I'd pulled around to Star Wars somehow. I started off by going off the rails with the Star Trek thing, and I realized I cross-pollinated fan bases. I apologize for those of you that I'm an equal opportunity nerd. Sorry.
No, it's not. I wanted to fill some more time to get closer to our usual 2-hour mark. So.
Oh, excellent! Yeah. No, perfect. I'll sit down and talk about Star Wars toys I destroyed.
10 minutes.
Hey, sandboxes did a good proxy for Tatooine. That's all I'm saying. And all you have to do is like dig a hole and then boom, there's the Sarlacc pit. It was great. Oh no, there went Boba Fett. Cover him up in sand.
Boba Fett.
I guarantee there are still Star Wars figures buried in that sand in the hole somewhere in my grandparents' backyard. I guarantee it. And of course, you had to break C-3PO up because then you got the Chewbacca with the net, so you had to break all the arms and legs and stick him in the netting in the back on Chewbacca's back. Come on, I'm not the only one that did that, right?
I don't know if I broke my C-3PO. I used to smash die-cast cars with a brick so that I could have like roadside accidents to drive past.
All right, so if you broke one of your C-3POs in pieces so you could stick him in the backpack for Chewbacca, let me know, because
Yeah.
I know I can't be the only one that did that.
Yes, so the other things, you can watch Ed on YouTube if you want to listen to him talk Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah, sure. Old Guy Gaming, and basically we're going through our Core Set 2020 decks. I've been having oodles of fun. I got a little frustrated in one of my most recent events, but I've been getting a whole bunch of stuff. I'm actually getting quite a bit of traffic now. I'm almost at 500 subscribers, but I am getting messages and emails almost daily now, which I wasn't doing before. Like I'd get an email like once every couple of weeks, or something like that, and now I'm getting them almost daily. So at least I'm getting some traction, I feel like. So yeah, if you're interested and you're a cross-pollinated nerd and you play Magic, or at least have any interest whatsoever in Arena, check it out. Having a ton of fun over there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll overtake Dice in no time.
We'll see. We shall see.
Okay, so that's when I start coming on your show and getting you to print my show.
I'd be more than happy to. I've talked about this show on that. I have absolutely said, in case you didn't know, I also do this as well kind of thing. I've absolutely done that.
Yeah, I think Magic and like the other nerd games, Magic is mainstream nerd. You know, we're what we do is niche nerd.
Yeah. So I've been breaking back into role playing as well. So we're on episode 3 of That's Initiative came out last week. So everyone could hear me chatting to Greg about the meta plot of a campaign. That was interesting.
It was. I tune in every time you release one. I tune in.
Yeah, good fun. Enjoy that one. And yeah, we've been doing that. See, what you need to do, Ed, I have it on good authority. But if you were to send an email now, you'd probably win a painted grizzly bear because no one else has entered.
I felt dirty doing that though. Like it's the whole friends and family of the show. I'm still a friend, so does it count?
All I can do is ensure fairness when I do a draw. But if you're the only person who sends the email, I'll send you a grizzly bear. You have a painted one, it's fine.
All right. I have high authority that I'm allowed to send that email. Okay. I'll do that later. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay. I think that's me done for admin.
Excellent. All right. So I want to thank everyone, of course, for joining the show. Kris, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Sean, it was good to have you on weekend. I know that we're going to lose you shortly, but we'll cherish these moments and we'll look forward to your return. I think we've got one more show, hopefully, before your surgery.
At least one. Depends when the surgery actually takes place. So hopefully soon, though, because I'm sick of this. I'm ready to start Mark 2 of my life.
I totally understand. And I have it on high authority that one Mr. Chad Brown is on the verge of returning to show readiness. So we might have to swap out hosts and we'll lose you, but we'll gain a Chad. And at some point in time, we'll all be whole again. So I'm looking forward to that. So one day. So always a pleasure to do this with you guys. Totally appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, check it out on YouTube if you want to see our happy, smiling faces, talking back and forth and talking some X-Wing. So until next time, guys, fly casual. Yay! Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.